You are going to be so impressed. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Pitchfork Fiber podcast. My name is Hunter, and this is episode 17. It's been a short time since I have last podcast, so I'm very excited to be back with you here today. And I have a lot of progress actually, so that's something that you'll have to stay tuned for. But welcome here to a new location from the last time I podcasted. I'm here at my boyfriend's apartment. We're in Logan Square, Chicago, which is just a neighborhood of Chicago, more on the west side. And I'm here in this beautiful kind of vintage-inspired, antique-ridden, beautiful apartment with lovely, luscious greenery, some lights around, and some candles to kind of spice up this lovely, I guess it's a hump day. It's Wednesday today, but when this goes out, it probably won't be Wednesday. However, welcome. I'm excited to be back with you so shortly after I've last podcasted. I'm here with my knitting. I have some tea. Actually, tea, I have coffee. So good. This is a gorgeous mug. I recently got it. It's Keys Pottery, or I think I'll leave a link down below, but she's a lovely ceramicist out of North Carolina, and I bought that. She was having a sale on her Instagram, and I saw it pop up and was like, wow, I need that. And it's been my go-to mug every morning. So that's been really something that gives me pleasure in the morning. But other than that, I want to get started. It's been crazy. It's self-isolating, self-shelter-in-placing. Everyone's kind of just like, what's going on? I'll get to that later, but I've had a lot of time to knit. And this is something that I don't normally get to do, but a lot of my time, especially during the day when I'm at work, which is working from home in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, I'm sitting there and kind of like while I'm working, a lot of times I'm able to knit. And so you are going to be so impressed, okay? I knit on something a lot and then I'll put it down for a long time, but I have never made this much progress on a project like ever in such a short amount of time. So let me just show you. Let me preface, I have been knitting this sweater for my boyfriend, Matt. It's the Huron sweater by Jared Flood. It's the pattern was written for, I believe, Brooklyn Tweed, and I went on, Brooklyn Tweed has been having an amazing kind of special right now that I believe it's still going, and I'm not 100% positive, but when I bought it, the proceeds, a large portion of the proceeds that I bought towards the bulk of yarn goes towards the local yarn shops. And my local yarn shop, Knit One Chicago, they received a portion of what it costs for me to buy the yarn, and I bought it, and I fell in love with it so much that I bought another sweater's quantity. So we'll get to that. But first, let me show you some swatches, because I know you're excited. First swatch was this. This is, let me get you, it's this yarn. It's the Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. This is the Hayloft colorway. This is beautiful natural lighting right now, so it's very true to color. It's a worsted weight yarn, 140 yards in 50 grams. The gauge, it says, is like 4.25 to 5 stitches per inch with a US 7 to 9 needle. That's 4.5 to 5.5 millimeter needle. And it's sourced in Johnson County, Wyoming. It's spun in Harrisville, New Hampshire, and dyed in Philadelphia. So just absolutely gorgeous. I'm obsessed with this. It's really beautiful. I'm very excited about working with this, and I have greatly enjoyed it because I've worked up a lot. So here is a swatch. This was with a US 6, and I felt like the gauge was a little bit too open. This has been blocked and everything, and you see how you can kind of like see me through it. I felt like it was just a little too open, and it also was definitely not at gauge. And so I decided, instead of knitting the size medium, which is what the pattern for the circumference of the chest measurement for my boyfriend would have worked out to. I decided to drop down to a small, and even with this gauge, it would have still been too big. So I dropped down to a US 5, and I got this, and this is a lot less. You can still see through a little bit, but it's definitely more dense, and it's more of the material I wanted. This was just a little bit too flimsy, and I felt like with this gauge, it wouldn't necessarily last as long just because the stitches were a little bit too loose. But this gauge definitely feels like it's going to be hard wearing. It's going to last forever, and I love the way that it blooms, so it just kind of melts. Everything melts in together, and it's just beautiful. So very soft, very beautiful, and I'm really loving this. So this was the swatch. I didn't get gauge, but with the gauge that I got here, knitting the small, I'd still get the circumference of the medium. So that's kind of the math I did. I started out with knitting the body, and the body is done. It looks pretty big. I did do a couple modifications. The pattern calls for kind of just doing like a garter stitch hem on the bottom, and then where you're going between knitting and purling, since it's in the round, and then you do that for a couple stitches. But since I didn't really want that, I did a 1x1 rib, and this is with the Italian cast on, which is basically like a tubular, I think a much easier version of the tubular cast on, because you're casting on knit stitches and purl stitches. That way you get a beautiful rolled hem that looks like the tubular cast on without having to do the whole, like, tubular cast on takes forever. I was watching the Fruity Knitting podcast just like yesterday or something, and they were talking about how the tubular cast on took much longer than like knitting the brim of the whole hat or something like that. And I really can relate. I knitted something with the tubular cast on. It took forever. This is an awesome kind of swap if you don't want to do the tubular, but you like the similar kind of look to it, called the Italian cast on. There's some amazing YouTube videos. I'll share the one down below that I've used. You can just search that on YouTube. You'll definitely find some, but this is what I got. I think I've knitted, I definitely have knitted to the length. It looks pretty short right now, but it's rolled. But this will be the bottom. It is worked bottom up. So this is the body. I'm so in love with, just like, it's perfect. So that's that. Then I just knitted a sleeve. Like, I'm sorry, I cast it on literally like a week ago, and I already have the body and a sleeve done, fully done. This sleeve I also modified quite a bit, actually. It was supposed to be casted on, and similar to the bottom of the ribbing was in garter, kind of that knit purl, and then it kind of rolled, and I didn't really like that. So I did do a 1x1, but when I cast it on, the amount of stitches it called for this size, it was way too big. It was like, because it would have not been in ribbing, it would have been in just in the amount of stitches that it called for, but in garter. So I was definitely unhappy with that. So I ripped it out, and then I cast it on. I believe I took out 6. I think I cast it on 6 less or 8 less. I think 6 less stitches. And then I just increased to the amount of stitches that I needed, and then continued the rest of the sleeve. I'm a little worried. I didn't really want a sleeve that was baggy, and this sleeve is pretty wide. The total number of stitches that I needed to get at the top was quite a bit, and I'm gonna go with it. It took me a day to knit this, so it's not that big of a deal if I do want to like maybe rip it out and do a different sleeve, but this sleeve is definitely pretty wide, and I don't know if I like the fact that it just kind of is like it just looks pretty wide compared to like an arm. There will definitely be some positive ease, and I don't know if that's necessarily what Matt wanted, and so I think I'm going to get this, give it a try, and if it's not what he wanted, I thought about maybe doing something a little different just because this isn't really what I was expecting, but it's still beautiful. I've done this and I've also done another. So this is how much I've gotten. I mean, come on, people. Like 2 full sleeves and the body. I am so impressed with myself. Like, not that I'm patting myself on the back, but I don't knit this much and I've gotten so much done in a week. This is worsted weight yarn and it's gorgeous, but same thing. I totally increased differently. Like I didn't want these to be too long either. He didn't want really long cuffs either because he wears watches at work and wants to kind of have that kind of hit him at an appropriate length. Doesn't want them to be super long. I tend to like mine a little bit longer, but that's what he wanted. So I adjusted, but I then had to kind of increase it differently. So here we have, I've kind of created those different modifications, and I have written those down so that I can do the same on both sleeves. But I only have a few more inches left. Right now it's looking like I maybe only have, like 2 inches left. So that's really exciting. I think I only need to increase a couple more times and then I'm done with that. And then I can merge it all in the round for the yoke. So it's looking really wide, to be honest, but I don't know. It looks big, but that is always what happens. Every sweater I have, I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so big. Is it going? But then I measure and it equates to what I want. Then the top of my yoke is going to be in this colorway. This is in the Fossil colorway, and it's a gorgeous bone, kind of sandy, it's like a very light off-white sandy, kind of almost a touch of gray. And together, they're gonna look gorgeous. I'm so excited. I love this yarn. It's so beautiful. I seriously could knit it for the rest of my life. Like, it's so beautiful. So that's what I've done. I am literally almost to here, and then I just have the yoke, and I'm excited about that. I think it's gonna work out really well. I don't think I'm going to go up a needle size like it calls for, just because when it comes to Fair Isle or stranded color work knitting, I tend to be very loose, and I already have quite a loose gauge, so I don't want it to just kind of like have excess. And if anything, I think it will be kind of since it's already kind of wide, I think it might kind of be exactly what I need. So I'm gonna do that. So that's that. So excited about this. And I was so excited about it that it was like maybe, I don't know what it was. It was maybe like, I'd ordered the yarn, I got it in the mail, I started knitting it, and I was like inches. It had been a day and I knitted like 6 or 7 inches. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. Like it's working up so easy. Like I could be done in 2 weeks. And I was like, do I want to buy one enough for myself? Because like this is like the deal. So Brooklyn Tweed had a deal where you could put in kind of like whatever discount you wanted, and the fact that the amount of discount off they then were going to be paying towards a local yarn shop. And I just felt like it in a time where I want to support my local yarn shop and the people that put together Knit One Chicago. I really wanted to support them in any way I could. And the fact that I'm self-isolating it at home, I'm gonna be knitting, I wanna have yarn, I thought might as well just bite the bullet and buy it. So I bought a whole sweater quantity more. Preface again, this yarn, I definitely had to, I knew I wanted like a navy sweater. I don't have any, I've never really knitted with blue at all, which is so weird. I gravitate towards like warmer yellows, reds, golds, brown, like that kind of warmer colors. And I've not really done a whole lot with like the purple purpley kind of blues or turquoises or anything like that. So because of that, I was like, I want to knit a navy sweater. And this was the color I wanted, the body. This is Old World in Shelter. And it's just a gorgeous navy with just speckles of red tweed, some lighter blue, kind of almost like, it's just gorgeous. I mean, really, there's just, the texture, the dimension, it's so beautiful. It's very rich. It's a very, very rich navy blue, and I just think it will be a staple in my wardrobe. But then I was really playing with like what I wanted the color work to be, since it is predominantly, it's just like all one color with one color yoke, and it's a beautiful design. I was going with the fact that I was thinking, do I just go like more like mattes with just kind of a neutral and just keep it simple? Because that would look gorgeous. Having this would be beautiful. I mean, it would be stunning. But then I thought, I'm already doing something kind of like that on this one. What if I go darker? And then I thought, oh no, this Old World color is already pretty dark. So then I was looking at Ravelry, and I saw quite a few that were just like more subtle. It wasn't necessarily like this color with a light. It was a little bit more less contrasted, and it gave a really beautiful kind of more subtle look to the color work. And then I was playing around with like, what if I do this with another color instead of a neutral? What if I do it with so I saw someone use this color with almost like a pink, a pale pink, and it looked gorgeous. But then I thought, will I wear that much? And I ended up choosing to go with a lighter blue. And when I chose this online, I thought it was going to be much lighter. And then when I got it in the mail, I was pleasantly surprised. And this is flannel. It's a grayish blue. Looks like it's almost been worn down. It's just flecks of kind of gray. You can see them down here. Absolutely beautiful. It kind of almost is like, it's looking very different in this color. When I bring it closer to my body, this is the color it is. It looks kind of washed out here, but this is the true color. It's definitely like a gray blue, and then this is the Old World. So these are really true to colors right now, but just absolutely beautiful. I mean, I think it's gonna make a really stunning color work yoke. It's not going to be super contrasted like white where it's going to really pop, but once it kind of blooms, it will just merge together and make a really beautiful color work. So I'm so excited about this. I bought 11 skeins of total, and I bought 2 of the contrast color and 9 of the main body color for both sweaters. I'm going to be knitting smalls for both. And what's exciting is that Matt and I are a similar size. He's a little bit more broad. Has more kind of like muscle. So, but we're similar size. So it's not too dramatic where I couldn't wear the sweater too. So it looks like I might be having 2 sweaters. Like, I might wear it. So that's really exciting. I've been loving that, and I am so excited to get working on the color work. That's really what's driving me towards this project. But I'm really excited. I've been knitting at work. That's kind of all I've been working on. I haven't been working on 2 projects or anything more than that at the moment. I just have this working, and I really do think it will be done in like 2 weeks probably. The color work will definitely take more time, and I'll have to focus more. I've been working where I'm like doing work, and a lot of the work I'm doing now is kind of going through an archive of videos, and so what I'm doing is I actually am getting to watch these videos, which are old programs with conversations between people and talks, and it's amazing. But a lot of the time I'm just like listening and waiting for a moment that I can pull out to use for more digital content or marketing, media, public, use for our social media or whatever. So that being the case, I am able to just kind of sit and knit. And then when I'm like, oh, that's something good, I want to, I write that down and I like stop, and then I'm able to pick back up. And it's really nice to just have something easy that I can go along with, that I can kind of just go around and not pay attention. So once the color work happens, I'm definitely going to have to spend more time doing that. And like, I can't really, do it while I'm working if I'm not working. So it's just worked out well in this time that it's working out. But that's exciting. That's really all the knitting content. If you want to stick around, I can have a little bit more information about just what's going on, I guess, if you want to hear about that. If not, follow me on social media, Pitchfork Fiber on Instagram, and also like and subscribe. Maybe add a comment of how you're doing on this, like how you're doing during the quarantine kind of time or whatever. I'd love to hear about that. I have been working from home. I haven't left the house in almost a week. It's been kind of crazy. Thankfully am so blessed to have a job where I have job security and I'm continuing to be able to work from home. Not everyone has that opportunity to work from home and continue to like keep doing what they do. It just so happens that I'm able to do that, and I'm very thankful. And it's been a definite learning curve having to have meetings online and communicate in a very different way. We're all kind of in this together, so everyone's on the same page in that sense, but we're all kind of like don't know what's going on in the world in general. And our job is very much based, my job is very much based on gatherings of people and bringing people together and having programs and events. And with none of that being able to happen, it's totally shifted the way that we do our job, going from hosting events of between 200 people to 4,000, and that's kind of like what we do, to now having to think about everything we do is going to be online and digital. It's an extreme shift, and it's taken a lot of kind of shifting our perspective and what our jobs and roles are. So it's just kind of been crazy, and a lot of that has just been figuring out the process of how do we move forward. And so I've been focusing a lot on our digital content, which is something that I normally would not be focusing on, but that's what I have shifted to. And I'm very excited to be able to kind of go through our archive of videos. If you want to watch, I would love for you all to, there's hundreds of videos on Chicago Humanities Festival. If you go to YouTube and you search Chicago Humanities Festival, they have their own YouTube channel, and you can go through hundreds and hundreds of videos that are with some of the most amazing and influential thinkers, speakers, artists, authors, scientists, musicians of our time. I mean, it's just really awesome. And so I encourage you to do that. There's so many of really cool, really awesome content. And I've been going through that and just learning so much as I go through that. But we're trying to pull out and kind of pick and curate a little bit more of a thorough, kind of like bring together a more concrete idea of like what we are going to put out to the public versus just kind of like, here's 100 videos. So that's been crazy, and working on that. I've been baking a lot. I've made brownies. We've made tons of different types of food. I made bagels. I've made bread, tons of stuff that I normally wouldn't have time to do because I'm sitting in the kitchen. I work in the kitchen, which is just down the hallway, and I'm right there. So if I want to make something, I can kind of like do a little bit of, I kind of can work and do things all at the same time, which has been really fun, but also has been weird because I haven't left basically that little part of the apartment in so long. I've not really been reading a lot just because I've been focusing on knitting. It's springtime here. It's still cold. It's been roughly around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Today it's sunny, which is beautiful, but it's been really gray, dreary, rainy, wet, cold. So classic Chicago. It's April 1st. I'm excited for spring. I can't wait to not wear a coat. I can't wait to wear shorts. I can't wait to just wear one layer. Yeah, so, if any of you, I would invite all of you to comment down below with what are you up to? What has been some things that you are either working on? What are some things that you've now have the time to work on? I know cooking and making more kind of home cooked meals is something that I was focusing on, but what are you working on? I hope to be able to do this pretty often now. I have more time. I'm able to make and work on a lot of things, so hopefully it's more interesting. I know that just getting a video out there is something to look out for or do during the time of being home. I do encourage you to search the Chicago Humanities Festival for any content that they have. They are a wonderful resource for really interesting videos about anything that has to do with the humanities. And I'm guessing that you people out there watching are creatives just like me and find joy in those things. So there's a ton of that on the website and also on the YouTube channel if you search for that. And I am sure that there will be some really interesting things for you there. But that's going to be it. I hope that you've enjoyed. I'm going to get back to work. I took a little break and am doing this right now. So I'll be getting back to work and I hope to see you all soon. Hit me up with what you're up to and I'll talk to you again next time. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.